Hello there folks, and welcome to a new playthrough video. This is my playthrough of a game called Loom, Portent of the Veil, which is on Kickstarter at the moment. If you like the look of it, the link to the Kickstarter campaign will be in the description below. And if you enjoy watching this and want to see more adventures just like it, do consider subscribing to my channel and hitting the bell notification icon. I am the Lone Adventurer, and we're going to get straight into it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to play through a few rounds of the game that I've already started. We might play through, we'll see how it goes, we might play through a total of 6 rounds, because if you play through 6 then the character will have to camp, and we will see how that works. So my character is called Wesley the Craven. Wesley the Craven is using Bitter Knell, which is a blunt weapon. We read through the description of that weapon in the first video. Didn't mention the first video, did I? First video, I'll pop a link in the corner of the screen, and there'll be a link in the description below if you want to see the character creation process and a little bit of an overview of the game. I've also chosen the Demiurge She the Vigil, which comes with a particular benefit, I think, in certain situations. And this is my sigil that I've drawn, and it is a sigil of fear. I've already picked up a whole bunch of things, and I think that the maximum number of items in your inventory is 6, so I'm going to need to start using these fairly soon. I have used one item, but I haven't had much call to use many more than that. Looking at my quests, we can see I have vanquished 2 foes, I found 1 shrine, and I've visited a torch gate. The torch gates are these symbols in the 4 corners of the valley area, and I think the aim of that is simply to encourage you not to just blunder all your way through. And I think the aim of those is just to encourage you to fully explore the area and get into all of the corners there. I'm just going to quickly write my challenge modifier, poison and craven points. So my challenge modifier is currently 1. That means whenever we roll to overcome a challenge, we add 1 to the number that we are trying to roll over. So the higher your challenge modifier, the more difficult challenges become. And I've got 0 craven points because I haven't had to do anything craven or cowardly so far, but I'm sure that could change. You start here. I've made my way over to this corner. Then once I hit this location, I had to camp. So I went through the camp process, and now we need to generate a scene for this location. And this is how you do that. We're going to turn over a card, 9 of diamonds. Okay, so this is the process. It's very quick, it's very intuitive. I'm just going to do it rather than explaining to you. And then you'll see how it works when we switch over to the computer screen and see the paragraph. So we find the 9 of diamonds section on this sheet. I don't think this is required, but it's a little cheat sheet which I found quite handy. We then find the diamonds word input tables, and they're down here. We need to generate words, 4 words, and they'll be from the tables A, E, F and D. So let's quickly do that. So looking at table A, we get 5, which gives us an apothecary. An apothecary has a challenge rating of 1. And then table E, E8, gives us a pagan convert. So that's a foe we're going to have to fight. And the pagan convert has a challenge rating of 2 and a weapon bonus of S, which is not what we've got, but I'll talk about that when we fight them. And then F will give us a weather. 11, heavy rain, which got a challenge rating of 3. As you can imagine, doing things in heavy rain would be more tricky. And then D3. Oh, I've been looking at the wrong one, haven't I? Oh dear. Okay. Apologies, I've been looking at the spades table and not the diamonds table. I'll just quickly update my choices and then I'll tell you what's different. Okay, so our second word or phrase is actually strung up, which is a condition. Then our third one is Templar, which is an NPC. And then we're gonna, and then for our final one in table D is a foe. And number 3 gives us a robed acolyte. Alright, and all of those add up to a fairly low total challenge rating for the scene. So we add those numbers up, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we can switch over to the actual paragraph itself. So here we've got the different paragraphs for the different cards. So I guess there's one for every single card. So we need to find the 9 of diamonds. Happens to be that we're on the 9 page, because I keep getting 9s even though I've thoroughly shuffled these cards. 9 of diamonds is here. So you could print this all out and go through filling in the challenge ratings on those sheets. But that's an awful lot of printing, so it's quite nice that the designer has provided the cheat sheet that I was making my notes on. So I'll read through the paragraph. There was once a village here, you are sure of it. Or has the long road made you mad? Your feet crunch the solid ground. Nothing remains ahead, save for an apothecary. Could it be that the pagan menace has not only invaded this land but altered it? Beside the structure, a strung up and bruised Templar waits. An undead robed acolyte stands guard nearby. As you move into the shadow of the dying evergreen, the village reappears above a portal. Colossal hands reach out from the rift, grasping the village rooftops with horrid fingers. The village is pulled under in a red burst. So we've got these really imaginative paragraphs, and they're sort of augmented and adjusted using those word input tables, so that every time you come across one, it will be a little bit different. And I don't think over the course of a single game you will come across even half of these paragraphs. So back to the table, we need to look at our command list. Now we have got a foe here, the undead robed acolyte. And I think you have to deal with a foe before you do anything else. So we can either attack the foe, engage in combat, or we can evade or flee the foe. And once we've done that, then we can do one other action in this location, or you have to do at least one other action. So you have to do 2 actions, 2 commands in a location before you can move on to the next one. But I think you can do more if you want. So obviously we are going to attack this robed acolyte. I don't think it's going to be too tricky to take down. So if you remember, we've got a total challenge rating of 7, but at the moment I have a challenge modifier of +1, which means I'd have to roll 8 or more in order to successfully complete this action. Now I've got a +2 modifier for my attack. When you're doing character creation, and I forgot to go through this in the first video, you distribute a certain number of points between these different commands to give you an advantage in certain situations. And I split my points between a +2 on attack, not +4, the evade and the hide and the roll the bones and the flee area are preset for you. So I distributed +2 on attack, +3 on assist NPC, +1 on search buildings, and +2 on foraging. And that's the way I went. So we're going to roll 2 dice, we're going to add on 2, and the result has got to be 8 or more. 9, 10, 11 is more than 8, so we have a success. Then we have to roll a d6 to see what type of success we experience. 4, you vanquish your foe and take a foraged item from their corpse. Good, good. Well, unfortunately right now I am maxed out on my inventory, so we can't actually take any items, but I suppose we can have a look to see what foraged item we end up with, and maybe if it's one I like the look of, I can drop something and take that instead. So if we go over to a new document, which is the items document, we've got items that you generally find, but it was specified in this success that it was going to be a foraged item, and I think these are sort of lower level items. And we've got a D12 table here, so I'm going to roll 2 dice, and that's given us a 12, and the 12 is a Moonsmith's Shard, a shimmering flake of silver moonlight, used for a -2 to the total challenge rating of an area containing a foe. Now I've already got one of those, so I think I'll just stick with what I've got. So that's our first action in this area, but we still need to take a second action. If we look quickly at our paragraph, 3 of our generated elements, the first, the third and the fourth, these are interactive elements, elements that you can directly interact with. So the first one is the apothecary, the second one here is the Templar who's strung up, and the final one was the robed acolyte. So we've already battled the rogue acolyte, so we could interact with the Templar, I could help the Templar, or I could search the apothecary, or I could do both. So I think we'll start off by helping the Templar, assisting the Templar. Oh, before we do that, we just need to mark on the sheet that we vanquished a foe. That takes me up to 3 foes vanquished. And now we can assist the NPC. And I've got a +3 on this. We used the same total challenge rating for the scene. So I just need to roll 8 or more. Oh, that's low. Wow. 2. So we're going to add on 3 to 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I'm 3 below the target that I need. The items, you need to elect to use those in advance. You can't use them retroactively after a dice roll. So I have failed to aid the Templar. So I guess I was trying to cut him down, I guess, and that didn't really work. So we've got a failure table here. 2. Oh wow, the NPC is a pagan using dark magic to disguise themselves. Begin combat. Okay, so it turns out that the strung up Templar was actually an evil, nasty pagan who was waiting to trick an honest, God-fearing gent like myself into a nasty situation, and that's what we found ourselves in. So we've got to now fight the pagan. So the NPC is a pagan. Interestingly, it doesn't tell me what weapon weakness the pagan has, so I guess they just don't have a weapon weakness. I forgot to discuss that when we were fighting the robed acolyte, so I'll try and remember next time we're engaging in combat. So again, we just need to get 8 or more by rolling these dice, and I get +2 on attacking. So do I want to use one of my items? So I could. I think just to be on the safe side, I could use my moon root. So I'll just cross that out. and that takes the challenge rating down by 1. So my challenge rating is going to go down to 7. So I've got to get 7 or more in order to successfully defeat the pagan. And I got 9 anyway. 9 plus 2 gives me 11, so I've comfortably defeated the pagan. So we're going to roll a dice to see what happens. 2. You sluggishly vanquish your foe. So I don't find any items, but I do defeat the pagan, which means I have now defeated 4 foes in my journey so far. Right, so that could be the end of this location. I could choose to search the apothecary as well, and if I did that I might find something useful. So you know what, let's search the apothecary very quickly. I'm searching, I get a +1 on my roll, and again I think the total challenge rating was permanently dropped to 7 by the use of that item. So I would have to roll 7 or more, and I comfortably have done that. So let's roll on the success table. 6. You find a hidden item and a map of the road ahead lies on the floor. Okay, so because I've been given a map of the road, I get -1 to my challenge modifier. So that means my challenge modifier is going to go back down to 0. So that's quite handy. And I'm going to find an item. So let's roll the dice and then we'll look on the table. And the standard items require a D66 roll, I think. Yeah. So the purple dice will be our first digit and the green dice the second digit. Okay, so we've got 55. So if we look at the table over here, 55 is a book of prayers, used to gain a +1 to any roll you wish. I think all items are one-time use. Just looking at this rule sheet here, it does say that once used, you delete the item from your inventory by erasing it. It is the duty of a trail guard to learn what effects the item of the veil will have. Okay, so you, for that reason, you use an item and then you chuck it away. So I'm just going to make a quick note that I've got a prayer book, and that is the end of that scene. Alright, with all that done, I think we need to move on to a new location. So we can mark that location as complete. Then we turn the dice that tracks our location down by 1 and move it into a new spot. Now we do that every time, and when the dice reaches 1 we have to camp for the night. So in this new location we draw a new card, 6 of hearts. Right, so we've got our 6 of hearts paragraph section here and our 6 of hearts input words here. So first we need a word from table B. 6 gives us crossroads with a challenge rating of 2. And then on table C, 3 gives us a ruined barn with a challenge rating of 1. And F, 5 gives us a drunkard with a challenge rating of 1. And then D gives us 7, a decayed revenant with a challenge rating of 2. So let's find the paragraph that we need. Okay, here we go. This paragraph is called Screams in the Air. Whilst making your way through a crossroads, you hear the curdled screams of a Vale resident. With fear grasping at your innards, you make your way down the road in haste, fence posts and shrubbery moving by in a blur. You notice that a ruined barn is the source of the wailing. You slow your run to a sneak, moving in closer for a better look. Tied to a stake in the ground, you see a drunkard. They cry for their family and to their demiurge. Even from this distance, as the form of a decayed revenant approaches, you see fear in their eyes. So back on our table here, I forgot to add up our challenge rating. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So again, that feels like it's fairly low. And looking at our command list, obviously first we're going to attack the decayed revenant. So it's a success on 6. All 4. Plus we've got a +2, which takes us up to 6. So we successfully defeat the revenant, taking my foes vanquished up to 5. And we need to roll on the success table for the attack. 6. You bravely and skillfully crush your foe. You find an item, and we subtract 1 craven point. But I don't have any craven points as of yet. So we need to find an item. So we'll have a look at the item table. We need to roll 2 dice. Purple dice is going to be the first digit. So we're looking at 64. Over on the table, item 64 is the Ink of Nile, used to move a portent point from one to another. Okay, I'm not entirely sure how portent points work yet because I haven't visited a portent. Those are triggered when we hit these eyes. So I don't think I'm going to worry about that item for now. I'm just going to crack on. So what were my other items that I could interact with here? Well, there's the barn. I could search the barn, or I could try and help the drunkard who is tied up in the middle. So let's try and help the NPC. And that's a resounding success. So let's roll to see what degree of success we experience. 1 is low, unfortunately. The NPC thanks you for your aid and gifts you with an item. Okay, so we can look at the item table again. And we're going to be looking at 46. 46 is a hallowed helm. Use for +1 armour, or use for -1 total challenge rating. That does sound handy, but I'm fully equipped. I don't really need any extra stuff right now. So given the fact that I don't really need any extra stuff, I don't think I'm going to search the building. I'm just going to move on. So we're going to move down here, but this is a location that has already experienced, where we've already had a scene, so we don't have another scene. But we do roll down the dice. And then let's go over here. So this is a portent location. So a portent, if you're wondering, is a sign or warning that a momentous or calamitous event is likely to happen. So we're seeing a sign of something that is going to happen in the future. And we can turn to the portent page. And again, we've got a D66 table. So we'll roll our dice. Gives us 26. 26 is the portent of choice. A torn banner has been caught in the branches of a dying ash tree. Whoa. Okay, so we have to mark that as a particular type of portent. And again, I don't really know how this helps me in the game. I think this is something we'll find out at the end. So, but we have to track the type of portents that we are experiencing. So this I'm going to say, because it's a portent of choice, I can choose. So I might say this is going to be a portent of fear, since my sigil is one of fear. Don't know whether that's a good idea or not, but that's what we're going to do. So with the portent out of the way, we need to have a scene at this location. So we're going to have a scene at this location, so we need to draw a new card, 5 of diamonds. Right, you know how this works right now, so I'll very quickly roll up and then bring you back when I've done that. Alright, so I've rolled up my words, and this is our paragraph, and it's called Its True Form. The trail winds ever on. The veil rises before you like a titan's bowl, greened and cracked. Rift tears split the distant skies with thunderous pealing. At a mausoleum you decide to catch your breath and watch the sickening light show on all horizons. What beasts pour forth? And as the thought enters your mind, the nightmare of a strung up and screaming hellhound invades your mind. As the corporeal world comes back to you, your foe, in its true form, unhallowed, stands on the trail ahead. You raise your weapon as the nocturne plays. Right, so we've got two items, elements of the scene we can interact with here. There's a mausoleum and there's a hellhound, and we have to fight the hellhound first. Now this location has got a total challenge rating that's a little bit higher, so I need to be rolling 9 to experience a success. Do I want to use an item? I think possibly I do. I'm going to use my goose feather, which will give me a -2 on the challenge rating, which means that I don't need to roll 9, I need to roll 7. So we're going to start by attacking the hellhound. Well, there you go. That's a decisive success, isn't it? So we easily destroy the hellhound. I keep forgetting to talk about the modifiers based upon the weapons. So let me quickly mention that now, even though it doesn't really matter because we just beat the hellhound. So the hellhound, for example, is particularly vulnerable to sharp weapons. Now my weapon isn't a sharp weapon, but if I had a sharp weapon I would get a +2 bonus to my combat roll. My weapon is blunt, so I would only get a +2 bonus if it were an enemy that is immune to blunt weapons. Anyway, we killed the hellhound. Let's see what sort of success we have. 2, you sluggishly vanquish your foe, so I don't find any useful items. With that done, I can search the mausoleum, so let's do that. Again, this is going to be success on a 7. 6, 7, 8 plus 1 gives me 9, so that's a solid success. I can search the building. Oh, I need to make a note on my character sheet that this is a building successfully searched, and I just vanquished a foe. So it says out of 6 for each one. Well, no, it says out of 6 for the first 4 quest types. So I suppose that I've now vanquished the number of foes that I need to ensure I get the maximum benefit for foe vanquishing. But I won't find out about that stuff until I get to the end of the game. So that's done. The building is searched. I need to check what kind of success we get here. 2 means we find a useful item. So let's roll our 2 dice. Gives me 36. Looking over at the table, 36 is a sanctified robe. Used when hiding and observing. So I can hide and observe without incurring any craven points. Alright, so now that's done, let's crack on. So we'll go this way. to 2, going down to 2, which means in the next location we will have to camp. So we'll do this, we'll go to the next location, we will camp, and then we will call it a day for this video, I think. But we do need to have a scene at this location, 4 of spades. I'll quickly roll up the input words. Alright, we've got the total challenge rating of 9 again. Let's turn to the 4 of spades in the paragraphs. The penitent progress. You march onward, thoughts of your old life torturing your mind. The cold and the death is punishment, you realise, for your actions. You are penitent and pray, but it does little to ease your arduous journey. The rough road ahead is marred and greyed. A sheet of hailstones falls across it. Through this you spy the outline of an overgrown tent. The tent may grant you warmth, but you know the veil too well to think it safe. You smell tallow candles in the air and grip your weapon tightly. Guttural cries roll off the hillsides. Okay, so we've only got the one element of this scene that we can interact with, and that is the tent. So once we've done that, we will do one of the other actions that you can do anywhere. So we'll search the tent. So we've got a challenge rating of 9 on this location. 8 plus 1 gives me 9, so that is a success. And 5, we find a hidden item and a map of the road ahead to give us -1 challenge modifier. But we don't need that because my challenge modifier is already 0. Let's have a quick look for an item. 26. Looking at our item sheet, 26, I think we've had this already. Oh no, 26, Vale Family's Locket, used to remember why you fight. And that gives you -3 Craven points. I mean, that is quite good, but I think I'm going to leave it because I can't be bothered to write down an additional item at this point. Okay, so with that done, our options are to forage or to search for tracks. Now the benefit of searching for tracks is it decreases your challenge modifier, and my challenge modifier is already 0. So let's forage, because you've got to do 2 things. So we'll forage, hope for success. We don't really want an item, but we need to do something here. 4, 5, 6, 7 plus 2 is 9, so that is a success. Oh, 6. Okay, so we would find a foraged item and drink from a spring of the trail, which would give me a -2 on my challenge modifier. So I don't really need an item, I don't really need to do that, so I think we will call it quits for that location there. We're going to move over here into this location, which does have a portent. So we need to roll on the portent table to see what that is. 24. So looking at the table, 24 is a portent of death. Carrion lies torn along the trail. Even the foul scavengers stay away. Alright, so back on our sheet we'll mark a portent of death having been seen. I forgot to mark, where did we go? We went through that one, didn't we? And then that one. And now we're here. So now that we've done that, we need to camp. And we've got a separate PDF for the camping process. And if you remember in the first video, if this seems like a lot of different documents, these are all also provided in one single document that you can scroll through, but they're also split out optionally, and I've been preferring that. So here's the campsite sheet. The shroud of night truly falls across the vale. Spirits ride the starways above, a cosmic dance of blue and mauve. Light snow drifts on the wind. predators begin to prowl, you think on the residents of the Vale, those sheltered within the monasteries, and those attempting sleep elsewhere, unprotected, lying amidst the sound of weeping neighbours, and the crackles of rift magic. The song of the nocturne plays hollowly in the distance. Your eyes grow heavy as you search for a place to spend the night. So we've got a little chart here that dictates how this is going to go. We roll a dice and then see how it goes. So a 1 to 3 gives us a no, and a 4 to 6 gives us a yes. So I'll leave it up on the screen and you'll just have to take my word for it for the dice rolls. So our first roll is 4, which is a yes. Is your campsite location sheltered? Yes, you are free from the cold winds. -1 to your challenge modifier. Well, my challenge modifier is 0 anyway. Next one. Does your search for firewood prove fruitful? That's a yes again. You rest beside the warm light. -1 to your challenge modifier. Midnight cries ring out in the wilderness around you. Do you encounter hostility? 4, so that's a yes. Wolves prowl the edges of your camp. +1 craven points. So that's my first craven point. Does the pack attack you in the night? 5 is a yes. The wolves attack. Begin combat. Target challenge rating 7. No items on success. Alright, so let's roll quickly. 6 plus I get a +2 for attack, so 6, 7, 8, so that is a success. I managed to fight off the wolves. And then our final question here, no it's not, is it the final question? No, not quite. Do horrid imaginings turn your dreams to nightmares? I've rolled a 1, so that's a no. You dream of morning prayer in spring and evening wine in summer. That's nice. And then the final one is at dawn. Dawn comes, though the day is not bright. Your breaths release as vapour. Your muscles ache and your stomach growls. Are you able to forage here? Alright, and I have rolled a 2, which gives me a no. Your boots meet the trail and your solemn journey begins once more. And there we have it. We would need to do a standard paragraph at this location, and then when we move on to the next location we would switch it back up to 6. We would start a new day and carry on our adventure. And there you go. That's pretty much how Loom, Portent of the Vale plays. Hopefully I got all the rules more or less correct there, but you can see that it's quite different. I don't think I've played anything quite like it. So far I found it quite a relaxing game to play. I don't know whether I'm being a little bit lucky, but so far I haven't felt hugely threatened in the game. The situations I found myself in haven't felt particularly dangerous, but maybe I'm just being lucky. But yeah, it's definitely different, and it's definitely a pleasant, quite chilled experience. I like the world that the designer Jay has created here, and I'm intrigued to see more of it and to see what happens when you get to the monastery in the north, and how other elements in the game work. I think you can get legacy items and legacy effects if your character survives, and then you can carry on. I haven't really looked too closely at the stretch goals, but I know that more is being added as the Kickstarter, which is already funded, becomes more and more successful. And I'm quite keen to see all of the associated lore that's going to be created to flesh the world out. So yeah, I think it's really cool. Hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to learn more about the Kickstarter, the link is in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I shall see you next time. Bye for now.